If you're a Democrat or any kind of constitutional-loving American and you're having a good day and some news that really favors Donald Trump would bring you down, you may want to divert your eyes and ears. According to a bombshell report in today's New York Times, Trump has a clear path to more victories in his war against our democracy, and I have all the alarming details coming up next. The Times story I'm going to share features some shocking analysis from a Supreme Court insider, and in researching my report for you, I discovered this recent video from former ABC News anchor Terry Moran that perfectly sets the table. Have a look, and on the other side, I'll share the Supreme Court news from today that is likely to give you a migraine of supreme proportions.
This is the most important Supreme Court term in decades. It's the first Monday of October. By tradition, that marks the start of a new Supreme Court term, and this one is huge. Major cases already before the court and more coming. I'll be covering it. Among those big cases, all of them really have to do with the power of the presidency under Donald Trump. Tariffs. Does Donald Trump really have the power under our laws to tariff the whole world? The Constitution gives the power of tariff to Congress. Congress has shared some of that. The Supreme Court will sort that out. Another big one. Can Trump fire anyone in the independent agencies that Congress has established, including the Federal Reserve? The court has that one before it. And coming up, birthright citizenship, and perhaps the most important one, Trump's deployment of U.S. military forces into our cities. All of these are huge. I'll be covering them, but I want to get at one more question, the big one before this court, about checks and balances of power in our country. The Congress has already surrendered to Trump. They let him do whatever he wants. They don't defend their own constitutional rights and constitutional powers. What will the Supreme Court do? And the question there is, do they see what is happening in our country? Will they name it and do something about it under the Constitution? We'll see.
With context established, thank you, Terry Moran, let's jump into the New York Times article that leans into the notion that the United States Supreme Court seems almost certain to side with Trump in a very important challenge to his unchecked authority. Here's the highlights.
Originalist Bombshell complicates case on Trump's power to fire officials. As the Supreme Court seems poised to expand the president's power, a leading scholar whose work the justices have often cited issued a provocative dissent. The Supreme Court will hear arguments in December about whether President Trump can fire government officials for any reason or no reason, despite laws meant to shield them from politics. There is little question that the court will side with the president. Its conservative majority has repeatedly signaled that it plans to adopt the unitary executive theory, which says the original understanding of the Constitution demands letting the president remove executive branch officials as he sees fit. But a new article from a leading originalist law professor has complicated and perhaps upended the conventional wisdom. The Legal Academy treated the development like breaking news. Bombshell. William Baud, a law professor at the University of Chicago, who himself is a prominent originalist, wrote on social media. Caleb Nelson, one of the most respected originalist scholars in the country, comes out against the unitary executive interpretation of the Constitution. Professor Nelson, who teaches at the University of Virginia and is a former law clerk to Justice Clarence Thomas, wrote that the text of the Constitution and the historical evidence surrounding it grants Congress broad authority to shape the executive branch, including by putting limits on the president's power to fire people. Professor Nelson acknowledged that the Supreme Court appears to be moving toward a sweepingly pro-president position. Indeed, one of Chief Justice John G. Roberts Jr.'s signature projects since he joined the court 20 years ago has been to grant the president more power to fire executive officers. Since 1789, the Constitution has been understood to empower the president to keep these officers accountable by removing them from office if necessary, he wrote in 2010. Later decisions, too, kept chipping away at a 1935 precedent, Humphrey's Executor versus United States, that said Congress could put limits on the president's power to fire people. In recent orders ruling on emergency applications, the court has signaled that the precedent is on life support. In May, the Supreme Court let Mr. Trump remove leaders of the National Labor Relations Board and the Merit Systems Protection Board, at least temporarily.
Those are just the highlights. For the full story by Adam Liptak, please visit the New York Times website. This is a dangerous development for American democracy because what's really at stake isn't the president's right to fire bureaucrats. It's Donald Trump's long-running plan to replace nonpartisan public servants with loyal soldiers who will answer to him and do his bidding unconditionally, much like he's turned ICE and the National Guard into his personal strike force. If the Supreme Court sides with Trump, and all signs point to yes, he will be handed more keys to dismantle the very system of checks and balances that should protect Americans from his brand of authoritarianism. Career experts, watchdogs, inspectors generals, and more could all be rendered disposable if they dare cross him. The Constitution was written to limit powers of a potential madman, not concentrated in his hands. I'm Dan, that's what I think, and now I want to know what you think. Please comment below, and let's continue to occupy democracy together.